afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, the House Squad Committee resumes its probe into the country's drug war. Present in today's hearing, former Senator Leila de Lima. Presidential son, Congressman Sandro Marcos, calls out Vice President Sara Duterte over her tirades against his family last week. More areas under wind signals as Kristine intensifies into a tropical storm. And flying shopping carts take off in South Korea. Thanks for joining us. Former Senator Leila de Lima attends today's House Quad Committee hearing into the country's drug war. Former President Rodrigo Duterte was invited to the probe but said he is not feeling well. Our reporter Sandro Ch joins us now for more on the ongoing inquiry. Sandro, what can you tell us so far?
Today's hearing still focuses on extrajudicial killing during the Duterte administration. Former Senator Leila de Lima is here today as one of the invited guests. With de Lima is human rights lawyer attorney Kristine. When asked, de Lima said she is here as one of the resource persons on the issue of extrajudicial killings. This could have been the first time for de Lima to meet former President Duterte after her incarceration.
I hope he gets well now, so he would have the health to face the music. So sana, so kay Ginoong Duterte, sana gumaling na kayo, magpagaling po kayo para meron kang lakas na harapin ang lahat.
House Quadcom co-chairperson Representative Benvenido Benny Abante addressed Duterte in his opening statement.
To former President Rodrigo Duterte, who has signified his intention to appear before the Quad Committee, get well soon. Sana po makapunta kayo sa susunod na hearing. Sana po samahan ka ng ibang invited personalities na nagtatago pa rin. Sana po sa pagpunta nyo rito, marami mga katanungan ang maaari po ninyong sagutin.
Meanwhile, Bayan Muna Party List members joined the multi-sectoral rally led by Rise Up and Bayan outside the Batasan complex in Quezon City. They are calling for justice to the victims of the drug war of the Duterte administration, or what was then called Tukang. The Quadcom is currently deliberating if they will allow former President Duterte to be excused in today's hearing without a medical certificate. Mai?
Sandro, aside from de Lima, who are the other high-profile personalities that you see there right now?
It is interesting to note that former President and Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is also attending today's hearing. The last time she attended a hearing here at the People's Center in Batasan was during the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability, in which she defended Vice President Sara Duterte. So let's see what will happen next in today's hearing with former President and Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo attending today. Mai?
Thank you for that report, Sandro Ochona. Keep us posted. Meanwhile, the Senate will hold its own hearing on the drug war on Monday. That's according to Senator Coco Pimentel, who will lead the chamber's probe. He says former President Rodrigo Duterte will be invited to the inquiry. Presidential son Sandro Marcos speaks out on the tirades of Vice President Sara Duterte against his family last week. The congressman stresses Duterte crossed the line when she threatened to exhume the remains of the late former President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. and said she imagined beheading President Bongbong Marcos. Congressman Sandro says going ballistic was perhaps the self-therapy that Duterte prescribed for herself. He adds, let this be an opportune time to remind ourselves that we must not take our mental health for granted. Above all else, Sandro says he sincerely hopes that the Vice President is okay. An update now on the weather. Catanduanes is under signal number 2 due to Tropical Storm Kristine. Meanwhile, signal number 1 is up over dozens of areas around the country, including Metro Manila, Ilocos Norte, Samar, Leyte, and Dinagat Islands. Kristine was last spotted at 335 kilometers east of Virac, Catanduanes, packing maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 80 kph. Weather Bureau Pag-asa says Kristine could intensify into a severe tropical storm before making landfall over Isabela or northern Aurora tomorrow or on Thursday. 5 barangays in Ragay, Camarines Sur are now isolated after the spillway in Barangay Sabang River overflowed. Residents say heavy rains battered barangays Mansalaya, Santa Rita 1 and 2, Tabion and Bagong Silang last night, causing the river's water level to rise. Even boats can no longer traverse the area because of strong currents. Pag-asa told BNC's Weather HQ early today, the Bicol region is among the most threatened areas by Tropical Storm Kristine.
Sa Catanduanes, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Albay, Sorsogon, and Northern Samar. Yung paglas po ng ganong kalakas na ulan, depende po sa magiging kilos po ng bagyong Kristine. Pagka po nag-move pa siya away from those areas, syempre po medyo hihina na po siya ng konti. Pero yun ganun pa man do aho kasi sa laki po ng lawak ng kaulapan ni bagyong Kristine, expect po talaga natin ng malalakas na pag-ulan pa rin po sa mga susunod na araw.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, now on his way to Israel as part of a trip to the Middle East. Blinken is expected to push for ceasefire negotiations to end the war in Gaza following the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. The U.S. State Department says Blinken also hopes to chart a post-conflict plan for the Palestinian enclave and reach a diplomatic solution to the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. This is Blinken's 11th trip to the region since last year's October 7 attack by Hamas on Israel. At least 6 people are dead as Tropical Storm Oscar lashes eastern Cuba. While the weather system continues to weaken, strong winds and heavy rain are still affecting recovery efforts. Oscar made landfall in Guantanamo Monday as a Category 1 hurricane. The storm comes as Cuba is still reeling from power grid failures that cut electricity supply to millions of residents. King Charles's speech before Australia's Parliament House ends on a sour note. The British monarch was heckled by a senator.
Give us our land back. Give us what you stole from us. Our bones, our skulls, our babies, our people. You destroyed our land.
Senator Lydia Thorpe was then stopped by security from approaching the king and was escorted out of the chamber. She's an outspoken Indigenous rights activist and was one of roughly 20 people protesting the king's visit outside the Australian War Memorial in Canberra earlier in the day.
Got a few nods from Aboriginal people in the room to show that they support my resistance, which is the resistance of my people for over 200 years. We'll continue to resist the colony until we have a peacemaking treaty where we can celebrate this country together. We don't need a king from another country to dictate to us what we do here.
We're taking a quick break. Still to come, the Philippine Central Bank reports a 5-fold surge in earnings. The details when we return. Stay with Newsfeed at noon. You're back on Newsfeed at noon. The Bangko Sentral reports a five-fold surge in earnings driven by higher revenues and lower expenses. The central bank's net income soared over 400% as of July, reaching 95 billion pesos. That's up from 18.5 billion pesos last year. Revenues rose nearly 60% to about 191 billion pesos. Miscellaneous income, including trading gains and fees, jumped by 329% to 50 billion pesos, while the BSP reduced expenses by 8% to 125 or 126 billion pesos. Local banks in the Philippines are facing only moderate risk from rising household debt compared to other Southeast Asian countries. Moody's reports Filipino households have less debt and that a stable banking environment helps maintain asset quality. In contrast, banks in countries like Thailand and Vietnam are more exposed because borrowers are more heavily in debt. Globe Telecom, led by billionaire Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, is eyeing an external candidate to replace longtime president and chief executive officer Ernest Cu. The managing director and CEO of Airtel Nigeria, Carl Cruz, has emerged as the frontrunner to lead the country's largest telecom company. That's as the 64-year-old Cu is set to retire after 15 years in Globe. Earlier this month, Cruz reportedly resigned from Airtel, Africa's second-largest telecom operator, to return to the Philippines. Prior to joining the telecom industry, Cruz spent over 30 years as an executive of Unilever. After hitting a 29-month oversupply, the property sector in Metro Manila is expected to recover following the central bank's policy easing. Sujin Kim reports.
The residential property market in Metro Manila hits a 29-month oversupply, marking the highest vacancy rate for residential spaces since the pandemic. But experts believe the property sector is on track for a recovery driven by consecutive rate cuts from the central bank, as well as expectations of further policy easing.
Mas murang humiram para mag-create ng bago supply. No? Maring may correction ngayon, gawa nga na sa ibang sector yung iiwanan ng pogo. No? Hintayin nila na lalong bumaba yung financing costs bago sila mag-locking.
Of the unsold condominium units across Metro Manila, 18,000 are in Quezon City.
I think that's not something that's QC specific. No, you have a confluence of things. A lot of developers this is based on our understanding. We're developing initially. A lot of them had started before the pandemic. When you develop and enter a project, it's a multi-year. These projects aren't built overnight. No? So you have that. You still have the effects of the pandemic. Now you have the effects of the ban in Pogo, which of course results in a lot of workers that would have been buyers leaving. So a lot of the buyers or even renters are a combination of you need workers or people with income, and like it or not, the Pogos did bring a lot of people in, and so there are benefits. While there are definitely negatives to it, there were benefits in terms of property, and the developers continue to develop without realizing or expecting that would happen. So when that happened, now you have an excess.
But in the office sector, companies are expected to relocate or expand to Quezon City from more expensive business districts such as Makati and Bonifacio Global City.
The city is promoting green initiatives as one. No? It's a lot of green initiatives, so and a lot of building public open spaces, but we're in the process of doing. And of course, you have your active transport promotion, bike lanes, your attempts to pedestrianize.
Interest in Quezon City is also boosted by key infrastructure projects such as the construction of MRT-7, the Bulacan Airport, and the North Bus Terminal. Quezon City currently offers 3.1 million square meters of office space. Sujin Kim, BNC.
Former Senator Leila de Lima is now speaking at the House Quad Committee hearing into the drug war. Let's listen in.
the period from 1988 to 1998, and the period from 2001 to 2016. So may break po. The break in these two periods coincides with then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte's hiatus as mayor of Davao City when he was elected congressman instead of mayor in 1998 due to the three-term limit. So for brevity, I'll refer to the former mayor as MRRD. According to a witness in the 2009 CHR investigation, during the first period of the DDS from 1988 to 2000, the assassins were paid 15,000 for every victim. 5,000 goes to the police handler and 10,000 to the assassins, who at the time consisted of rebel returnees aside from the active duty policemen who were their handlers. Their safe house was located inside the Nabelcom compound in Barangay San Pedro, Davao. After the summary execution of targeted victims, the DDS members would regroup at their safe house and divide the reward. During that time, MRRD sometimes personally gave out the kill orders and the reward money directly to the assassins themselves. Upon the return of MRRD as mayor of Davao in 2001, the DDS was upgraded into the Heinous Crimes Investigation Section, or HCIS, located at the Almendras Gym compound. The HCIS was an official unit of the DCPO, or the Davao City Police Office. The HCIS consists of both active duty PNP and civilian abanteros, or hitmen. Most of the hitmen are rebel returnees. They are supervised by PNP handlers. Each handler supervises 3 members. The task of the PNP handler is to give orders to his members as well as be responsible for their protection. According to the CHR witness, he was given a regular monthly salary of 5,000. During this time, the reward given to a team for every victim was anywhere from 13,000 to 15,000. 3,000 to 5,000 goes to the PNP handler. 7,000 to 8,000 was shared among the rebel returnees, and 500 to 1,000 to civilian informants.
That's Senator Leila de Lima attending for the first time the Quadcom investigation into the drug war during the Duterte administration. This is the 9th session of the House Quad Committee hearing, and she was currently illustrating there the Davao Death Squad reward system, according to a witness of the Commission on Human Rights. If you remember, in the past hearing, retired Police Colonel Royina Garma revealed that former President Duterte had asked her to look for another officer who would implement the Davao model of the war on drugs on a national scale and a reward system within the PNP. A police officer was allegedly rewarded up to 1 million pesos for killing drug suspects, but that allegation was denied by the PNP. De Lima, if you remember, spent more than 6 years in prison before being cleared of all drug trading charges. Earlier, Senator De Lima had wished the former president good health so he can finally face all the allegations against him. We are taking another break. When we return, Neymar back in action after a year out due to injury. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon. You're back on Newsfeed at noon. Neymar back in action in Al Hilal's hard-fought 5-4 win over UAE Pro League side Al Ain in the Asian Champions League. The 32-year-old Brazil forward came close to scoring in a counterattack after entering the match in the 77th minute with his team leading 5-3. Neymar had not played for a year after suffering a knee injury during Brazil's qualifier against Uruguay. He moved to Saudi Arabia from French champions Paris Saint-Germain in August last year in a deal reportedly worth 90 million euros or nearly $98 million. Before we go, flying carts will soon be a thing in South Korea thanks to Paletron, which, as the name suggests, is a combination of cargo pallets and multi-rotor drones. Developers say the Paletron can carry more items than ordinary cargo drones. People can also directly maneuver the flying cart without it losing flight stability.
So the Paletron is not just a flying shopping cart. It can be used, so using the platform's capacity to maintain its attitude, it could be used as an air taxi industry, or it could be used as a general base platform for future aerial robotic tasks.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. We now bring you back to the House Quad Committee hearing into the war on drugs of the Duterte administration.